have you supported students' writing in FYS?
I've always thought writing was an essential skill for communicating with the written word, but also thinking. You just cannot hold much in your brain at once. You have to write things out in order to capture thoughts, to develop thoughts. And so I think writing is really important. And also, I remember I was talking to um, one of the mothers from my son's fifth grade class, and she worked in finance. And she said, if you teach your students anything, teach them how to write. And I was amazed, not like math or, I don't know, some kind of self-discipline thing. It was right. And I thought, well, okay, well, this says I'm on track. I believe writing's essential. So I do have a lot of writing in my class. I start out the class with the students doing a personal writing exercise, which has to do with um, activities that have been proven through positive psychology to create a better mood or better sense of self. So I have students think about something and then write about it. For instance, savoring is something that can really help us lift our mood and keep us on track. So I'll say, have you savored something special in the last couple days? Maybe you had a wonderful meal, or maybe you were on a beach and watching the ocean in the sky, or maybe you were with family or friends and it was really a wonderful discussion and you just enjoyed it. What have you savored? What have you really enjoyed in the last couple days? So anyway, I start out the class with a individual writing exercise, and it's interesting because I ask them, I tell them I'm not going to look at it, and students really do sit and write. This was an idea given to me by a nursing student about 5 years ago, and I've kept it because it really works. It gets students engaged, and they like doing it, as the assessment shows when I do that mid-year assessment. I have students write first before we do any discussions. I have them write about the topic, the question I present, so that when students are in small group, they're not bowled over with somebody who just has thoughts immediately. So everybody has a chance to really think through what their response is. And I remember reading about this, how often we think that intelligence is demonstrated by people who have an answer right away, really quickly. There are a lot of people who are just as bright as those folks, maybe even have more abilities, but they end up taking more time to think. And so I want to accommodate those who can think quickly and slowly. So I have them write, and then I have them talk in small group and large group. And that way they all feel they have something to offer. And I do ask that everybody say something that they wrote in the small group, so they all get used to speaking in small groups and they have something there. I also have weekly online discussions, which are several paragraphs. So students are writing there and reading others writing. And then with papers, I've learned students like rubrics. I really started thinking, oh, these are so awful and prescriptive, but students like them and they do perform well. And I've grown to appreciate them because students don't know what you're looking for, or what a good paper is. And if there's something you value, put that in the rubric. Like I'll put in my rubric, creative novel ideas. And so if they have those, great. So anyway, and so yeah, students like the rubrics, and I've grown to like them because they do reflect the kinds of skills that I hope students develop in their writing. Okay, so
Uh,
the last question.
I know this is also wonderful, though. What was I going to ask? So it sounds like, as you're thinking about the class, what the class work entails, it might entail in class. So in class, they're practicing writing as part of gathering their thoughts, and then they're actually using that as a jumping off point to talk and they get the chance to kind of rehearse a few times their ideas
Right,
back to the bigger group. They also have online discussions, and
right,
there's another chance to practice this writing.
right, right. And given that there's no time constraint on the online discussions, they really get a chance to lay out their thoughts. And then if anyone wants to respond to that, they get that too. So it can be a nice place. There are some students who really um, perform best online because they're in the privacy of their room. They're they have the time to craft their language and also explore their own thinking, and that's really great. It's a different kind of writing from the in class stuff, but the in class stuff is great because you get to throw stuff out, then immediately get responses back from other students and see how it resonates. And the students, again, talking about the students um, being open to each other, giving each other the benefit of the doubt. Students really learn to trust the other students with their thoughts and ideas. So they then are more free to write what they really are thinking.
I love that. I also
Yeah.
wanted to just name that, from where I sit, I see a lot of kind of universal design concepts that I might call
Mm,
universal design, where there's lots of different opportunities for students to demonstrate their knowledge in different formats and kind of contexts. And also great sort of support for someone like a multilingual writer who might prefer to have some
right,
time on the online to kind of practice or the protected
right,
space of the small group. And I also see kind of what I might call transparent assignment design, where really putting out there what you're looking for. And just like you said,
right.
the idea of students saying, okay, I have my idea of what a good paper is, but what does this guy want, right?
Right. And
Looking
so for
here,
the
here.
paper, I'll mention a couple things. One, I put the paper topic up a week or 2 weeks in advance. I'll have students read the topic or set of topics, and I'll have the rubric there. We'll discuss it in class, but I also have it there online. So students, they don't have to comment, but if they have any questions or issues with the paper assignment or with the rubric, they can ask online. So they're not pressured and just running through it in class. It's there and they can look at it. Plus, the other thing with my course is it's pretty much done. I just take the prior years and I just import it and make changes. So my entire class is pretty much online from day one. Um, so they can look ahead and see what the paper is if somebody's anxious about it. And the other thing I do is I use the progression of assignments. So I'll have students have discussions, weekly discussions, and then the paper will allow them, actually encourage them to use those discussions. So I'll say what are two different types of happiness activities that you've tried recently, and how they worked out, whatever. And they've already done a discussion on two different, or maybe three or four different ones. So they just pick from those and expand upon them and make the segues and turn the couple short discussions into a paper. And then I ask students, how do you like this progression? They really do like it. I say, you know, often you're asked to think completely new thoughts, but this is taking the thoughts you have and developing them. And so you've got something to begin with. You're not looking at a blank screen. And it's great for them to revisit something they said before and come up with maybe, you know, some new ideas, some way to expand upon it. So they have voted yes to the progression of assignments, writing assignments.
And I love the way that you've gathered, data on this over the years so that, yes, you're teaching the same course, but it's been a process of refinement over the years.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
All right, another